Good afternoon. Today we are working on math packet number 11. So our first page says Janet's family was having a reunion at the picnic grounds. She bought 10 pounds of hamburger and can make 4 hamburgers per pound. Her family ate 34 hamburgers. How many pounds of hamburger meat did she have left? So when I get these kind of word problems, I always go back to that bar model. I'm going to say, okay, here are all of her hamburger. She had 10 pounds. So all of this is 10 pounds of hamburger. I'm going to cut it up into 10 pieces, 10 sections for those 10 pounds. 5 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. So each of these units represents 1 pound of hamburger. Ugh, our board is being finicky today. So 1 pound of hamburger per unit. 1 pound, that LB stands for pound. So instead of writing out the word pound, I put our abbreviation of the LB. So for every pound of hamburger, she can make 4 hamburgers. So each of these pounds is 4 hamburgers. Her family ate 34 hamburgers. So you're going to want to count up to how many of these pounds of 4 hamburgers each, how many gets us up to 34. I'm going to give you a spoiler. 34, you cannot divide by 4. There is going to be left over. So you are going to have to break one of those pounds into half. Because 8 times 4 is 32. We want to get to 34. So you're going to have to figure out which of these pounds you're going to break in half to get up to 34 hamburgers. Then it says, how many pounds of hamburger did she have left? So look at your pounds and your half of pounds, and you're going to put how many does she have left. Let's look at our next page. A train is going from Lilywood to Hermantown, along the way stopping at Green Lake and Highland Hills. At Lilywood, there are 108 passengers on the train. Several people get off at Green Lake and 26 get on. In Highland Hills, 24 people get off and 3 people get on. When the train reaches Hermantown, there are 71 passengers left on the train. How many people got off at Green Lake? So we're going to start at Lilywood. There were 108 passengers. And we're going to end at Hermantown. And there were 71 passengers left on the train at Hermantown. Along the way, we stop at Green Lake. We know that 26 passengers get on. How many get off is our question. Then we stop at Highland Hills. We know that 3 passengers get on the train and that 24 passengers get off of the train. So I'm going to work my way backwards from Hermantown back through Highland Hills, back to Green Lake to see if I can figure out how many passengers got off the train at Green Lake. So if I'm working backwards, I start with my 71, and I have plus 3, but I'm working backwards, so I'm going to subtract 3. And I have minus 24, so I'm going to add 24. So I can see when the train arrived at Highland Hills, how many passengers were on the train. So 71 minus 3 gives me 68, plus 24 gives me 92. So I know there were 92 passengers when it got to Highland Hills. So now I'm going to work backwards again. I'm going to say 92 minus 26 because there were 26 that had gotten on. So 92 minus 26, I should actually move this over because this is for Green Lake. So 92 minus 26 equals 66. And I'm not sure how many I need to add it to that. So I'm going to say, okay, if I had 66 here and I had 108 here, how many got off the train to give me that 66? So if I had 108 that I started with, we pull into Green Lake, and I know that I had 66 passengers I need to end up with. How do I go from 108? I'm going to want to take away those 66 passengers to see how many got off the train. So you see how I just figured out what information I was given. I worked my way backwards. Now I'm going to work forwards with that 108. And instead of adding it, I'm going to take away those 66 to see how many actually got off the train because I want those 66. So show your work. If you have questions, come see me if that explanation didn't help you. Some of us, that will be enough to get us going on this page. Our next page is the 5-card challenge. We want to use a different order of operations to equal 10. Make sure you have 12 points total. Try to challenge yourself and see if you can find an equation using all 5 cards to equal 10. Our next page is our pattern page. We just need to complete the table for the total blocks. So our total blocks, we just have to do that. So we need to find that pattern. In my first figure, there are 9 blocks. In my second figure, there are 21 blocks. In my third figure, there are 33 blocks. In my fourth figure, there are 45 blocks. So how did I go find the pattern? How did I go from 9 to 21, 21 to 33, 33 to 45? I am increasing by the same number every time. Figure out what we're increasing by and do that to complete our total blocks. You need to figure it out. What are we increasing by when we go from the first figure to the second figure, second to the third, third to the fourth? It is the same amount we are adding each time. So continue that pattern on. On our next page, we need to draw a net of the figure and label its sides. So we need to open up our box, cut it open, and draw what those rectangles would look like when they're all opened up, and label it. The short side, x minus 1. The width of 5. The length of 9. Make sure you're labeling your net, all opened up, label all of its sides correctly. That's all we have to do for this page. If you need help picturing what it's going to look like opened up, come see me in class. For our formulas page, we have some things to add in here. Our formula for our rectangular prism is the length times the width times the height. And we are giving you a length of 6 and a width of 2. Solve it for the height. For our cube, it's again length times width times height, or you could call it side cubed, because each of these numbers has to be the same. So you need to figure that one out. For our triangular prism, we have 1/2 of the length times the width times the height. We're giving you a length of 4 and a width of 4. Solve it for the height. For our pyramid, we have length times width times height divided by 3. We're giving you a width of 5 and a height of 8. Solve it for the length. For our cylinder, we have pi r squared times h. We have a radius of 10. Solve it for the height. For our cone, our formula is pi r squared times h divided by 3. And we're going to give you a height of 22. Solve it for the radius. And for our sphere, the formula is 4 divided by 3 times pi r cubed. Remember, Math 6 needs to do 2 of these. You can always challenge yourself to try to solve for more. So challenging ourselves is a wonderful thing. Our next page is our area page. We need to find the area of the shaded region. All of our work must be shown. To start off, you want to find the area of our full figure. That area is the length times the width. Put that answer right here. For our white shape, because we want to subtract out that white shape, so we're just left with our shaded. What I did was I created 2 rectangles. So I know that my first rectangle was a length of 4 and a width of 2. And down here, I have 4 centimeters altogether. I know this section is 2. And if it's 4 altogether, this section is 2. So I found the area of this rectangle with a width of 2 and a length of 2. So I found my 2 rectangles. I added them together. So I could put in what my white area was. I subtract that from my total area, and I'm left with just my shaded area. So when you get a goofy shape like the L shape of the white, you can break it up to make 2 rectangles that we know what that area is, the length times the width, and work with what we do know. Our last page is another graphing page. So we need to create a graph that represents the table. Then we need to answer these questions. How many customers come during the week and during the weekend? So when you make your graph, you're going to do a bar graph. Make sure you label the y-axis, label the x-axis, give a title to your graph, put your days down below, put your numbers going up, make your bars. And then you're going to count how many come during the week, how many come during the weekend, and you're going to give me those answers. So you're doing your graph and you're answering both questions. Again, after watching this video, if you still are having trouble with a page or 2, or all of them, whatever you're still really frustrated by and you can't figure out from the video, come see me and I can help you in class or after school. Have a wonderful day.